Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Beauty Business Babes podcast. I am so excited today because I get to talk with what seems like just this old friend of mine that I haven't seen in one forever, but two, I feel like I've known you for like, I'm not kidding, 6 years, 7 years. And I'm going to tell you guys how I know this woman, but her name is Shannon O'Brien. She is the host of the Sugar Show podcast, and she is the owner and founder of Love to Sugar. Welcome, Shannon.
Hey girl, it's so good to see you. I literally feel like I've known you like my whole life.
We
How is
basically
that?
have.
I think
We
because we're
basically
just
have.
super cool chicks, right? All good.
It's so funny because I don't know how this happened, but this is my recollection of what occurred in our life and how like we knew each other, kind of didn't, then we knew each other again. So this is what happened. Not too long ago, I would say like, I don't know, 2020, we were saying 2019, somewhere around there. Shannon had reached out to me to be on her podcast because of this post that I wrote, actually. It was a post about my mother and how like she didn't really like support me too much. And I guess, a lot of people liked that post and Shannon was one of them. She's like, hey, let's talk about this on the podcast, whatever, whatever. So we decided to go on the podcast. And this was what I thought was the first time me meeting Shannon. Well, no, it wasn't because she had mentioned that she owns iSugar University. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. I was like, hold on a second. I know you. I was like, I knew you looked familiar. I knew like your name was familiar. I knew something about you was super familiar. And I actually took her online course at iSugar University when I first became a licensed esthetician back in like 2016.
That's right.
I never passed, by the way, because you really did take it seriously. You were like, I need to see videos. I need to make sure you are on this. And
Oh yeah.
as my ADD little mind went, I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on like lashes and spray tans right now because I was trying to do too much at that time. But your course was very thorough. You were actually like my inspiration to create an online course for spray tanning. So there was so many different parallels and things that happened within our time of knowing each other. But I want to thank you for inspiring me and thank you for being on the podcast. I appreciate
Oh,
you.
I love those stories. Thank you so much. We have a episode series that we do called Sweet Success Stories. And sweet success does not mean you had success with sugar. It just is success. I mean, you literally said, you know what? This totally isn't for me, but tanning is for me. And so now then you knew, and look at the success that you're having there. I love it. I'm proud of you, girl.
Thanks. You too. And I want to again thank you because it was just so funny. Like thinking about this morning before we popped on here, I was just thinking like, wow, this has been kind of a long journey, and I loved how great your online course was. And I remember telling you this when we were doing the podcast, and you're like, you thought it was great. You're like, I hated it when I first did it.
We're so hard on
We
ourselves.
really are.
We are. I've actually improved it since then. So, and
Yeah.
you have lifetime access. So if you ever feel the need to get
Oh,
certified in sugar, you can jump back in there because
there we
you're
go.
already a student.
And as you guys will find out, if you guys are spray tanners, sugar and spray tans actually do go great together. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But all in all, I just want to say thank you again for being here. Thank you for being an inspiration. And I'm really interested in hearing more about you, your story, and how you really got into this beauty industry and the sugaring industry.
Oh, yeah. So those are two different stories, the beauty versus the sugar, or I guess in complement. The original getting into aesthetics, I'm actually a credentialed elementary schools teacher in the state of California. And I
Mm-hmm.
was teaching the fourth grade and I couldn't afford to move out of my parents' house. And it's the Bay Area in California is so expensive and I just couldn't afford it. So I went back to work in the corporate world to, make a little bit of money to move out of mom and dad's house back when I was in my 20s. And I just was not fulfilled in the corporate world. It
Mm-hmm.
just sitting in a cube. I later had an office, and even being part of the executive team, just wasn't my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to own my own day spa. I don't know what it was, but when I would dream, that was my dream. And so I called up my dad and I said, Dad, I think I want to go back to beauty school. And he thought I was nuts. He says,
Yeah.
you are what? You want to go back to beauty school? And it was in my mid to late 20s that I went back to beauty school.
Mm.
And so I was like one of the old ladies there, right?
Oh
I
my
think I was
gosh.
like 27. It's an old lady there. All the young kids were like 18. So I went back and I got my license and I worked for Canyon Ranch Spa Club in the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. So
Mm.
that comes with its own podcast stories, I'll tell you. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And my husband and I had the opportunity to move to Tahoe and open a little day spa. There was a day spa that the gentleman was closing it. And it was kind of already built out, the rooms and stuff. And on a wing and a prayer, we moved to Lake Tahoe and bought this little day spa. And we became best of Lake Tahoe 8 years in a row and
Wow.
best destination spa. And I only say that not to brag about awards, but just really to talk about like that journey can happen for anyone as long as they put in the hard work, you know,
Hmm.
and we really based everything on customer service. And we beat out, it was called no, it was Caesars at the time, and then it became Mont Bleu, and now I think it's like the Hard Rock or something, like it's or Bally's. But their spa because of customer service. It was
Yeah.
all about taking care of the clients, and everyone that voted for us was knew that if you went to Shannon's place, you know, you were going to get taken care of. So we did that. And then my husband and I decided that we were better friends than we were married people.
Mhm.
And I decided to move down for better education for my son down to Folsom, California, which is about an hour and a half down the mountain. And I knew no one. And I started up a little skincare business. And oh, yeah, then the recession hit of 2009. I think it was then 8, 9. And the recession hit. And so I knew no one. I was in a new town and I had to figure out a way to feed these kids, you know?
Mm.
And so I was at a happy hour with my new friends. And one of the girls said she was going to get sugared the next day. And I was kind of embarrassed because I'm an esthetician, day spa owner. I should have at least known what sugaring was. I had no
Mhm.
clue what it was. And she shared it with me. And I thought, you know what? I think I need to go get sugared. And I'm a big wuss, which is why this story is kind of funny because I like, oh, Brazilians, like, no, like that's too much. But I went for it. This was my new life, right? So I went down and I got a Brazilian. Oh God, I was so nervous. And it was great. It like barely hurt. I didn't punch the lady. I didn't kick her with my legs. I didn't, it actually wasn't that bad. And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to learn how to do this because this is going to be what sets me apart. And I tell you, you know, when you lay up bed at night and wonder how you're going to make it and wonder what you're going to do in this industry to make the money that you've been dreaming of, make that 6 figures that everybody talks about, the elusive 6 figures in your skincare business. I honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I got sugared and I looked up and God's like, that's it, kid. That's what you're going to do.
And now you're the sugar mama.
My clients actually named me that back in
I love it.
2010. Mm-hmm.
So cute. I actually still have the onesie that you sent me for Braden. It says sugar baby.
He is a sugar baby. Oh,
So
it was
cool.
so fun to watch you just experience motherhood.
Yeah.
That was really neat. So yeah, so I became the sugar mama and it's the thing that saved my life
Mm.
because I was, like I said, single mom, recession. And what I realized very quickly was that at the time people were taking facials out of the budget. You know, husband was saying, honey, sorry, but we can't afford that facial.
Right.
You know, get your facial products at, you know, Amazon wasn't as big then, but you know, it was like get your facial products at the grocery store, whatever,
Hmm.
oil of Olay, heaven forbid. And it was really interesting because I quickly realized, well, can I at least do your eyebrows? And they would say yes. Can I just do your bikini real quick? And they would say yes. And so I got good at the sugar, which by the way, in the beginning, when I got certified, it was terrible. I
It's
really
not
had to
it's
work
not the
hard at it.
easiest thing to
It
learn, to
isn't.
be honest. It's very
It isn't.
sticky, as you could
It is.
imagine.
It's not intuitive because it's the opposite direction of waxing,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So for
I think
those of
that's
you,
really what messed me up.
yeah. So for those of you that don't know what sugar is, it's lemon, sugar, and water condensed down into a paste.
Hmm.
It's like taffy and it's used at room temperature.
Mm.
So we can use it on medically sensitive clients, people that are just sensitive in general. We can use it on all kinds of clients with less pain, less irritation. It's great. And it's so pure, you can eat it.
Hmm.
And
Not after
so
you use it, by the way.
yeah, not after you use it. No. But I would, you know, clients would be nervous. They're like, you know, I've been waxed before and I got burned and I would see
Hmm.
scars on labia. Oh,
That's
and
awful.
so, yeah. And so I would say, okay. And I'd take their hand and put it inside the sugar warmer you would not do that with a wax warmer. Like it would burn
Right.
you, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, is this thing even on? I'm like, yes, it's on. It's not hot. It won't burn you. And I would put the
Yeah.
sugar on their hand and they would say, oh, okay. Yeah, you can put that down on my parts because that doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah. That's traumatic
And
having like a burn down there. Holy
I
moly.
know, right? I know. And it happens and it's, ugh.
Yeah.
So I don't want to freak anybody out, but it doesn't happen with sugar.
Right.
And so and I knew that it was something different. And that's how I built my business was we didn't have TikTok and, and people weren't as into Instagram, it was Periscope at the time.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Periscope seems like ages
I was on
ago.
Periscope a lot. Yes, I
Wow.
was. And just spreading the word.
Mhm.
And so I got really good at it. And, I'm so shy and all. People were like, you should teach this. And so I started teaching it. But because I was a mom, I could only fit like a couple of people around the table to teach them. And people would say, can you come to Fresno? Can you come to this town, that town? And I couldn't. It was just me, and I had these two kids at home, and so I started the online school.
I love this story. So, this is kind of where I feel like for me personally, my life changed when I started doing online trainings. Like, I thought this was a great idea. And again, thank you for being the inspiration there. Cause like I then thought this is something I could take from locally to globally. And I was so excited because now I found something that I could teach online that was easy to learn online, which is spray tanning. And I could take this from the inside of my salon to anybody's home, anybody's
Yeah.
phone, anywhere, anytime. So, talk a little bit about that because I know some people thought that you were crazy to do this.
They did. They did. They well, it's not an easy art to create, like it's
Mm-hmm.
not that easy to do. So there was a lot of people, even the sugar companies, that were like, Shannon, you're crazy. You can't teach people how to do this online. It's a hands-on experience only, right?
Mm,
And we do things a little bit different where, we give all the theory, all the demonstration, we break everything down into body part. But then, like you had said earlier, like you take the test, which really is just making sure that you have retained the knowledge.
mm-hmm.
It's so don't be scared. I think you should take the test. And the test really is just like, hey, were you paying attention to the videos?
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't, here's what you go back and make sure you relearn so that it's second nature to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have them submit videos so that we can see that they didn't just blow through the videos and want the certificate at the end. We
Right.
wanted to clearly see that you have mastered the technique. And so we'll go back and forth with people. It was really the only way that I thought that we could, I mean, I get giddy when people from like the UK sign up
Mm-hmm.
or Barbados or, Italy. We have some Italian students, and it's like, oh, this is so incredible.
It's so cool.
It's just giddy when you see that. And so really the goal was to not just put videos out, but to also make sure, because for us, you need to be certified, and certification does not mean completion.
Mm-hmm.
Certification truly means we have watched you master the technique, and then you can go forth and use it on someone else.
Yeah.
So we took that in order to sugar someone in majority of the US states, not necessarily Canada or Europe, but in order to sugar a client in most states,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have an esthetician license.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So in our case, we wanted to make sure that not only did you have your license, so we checked for that,
Yes.
but you also are certified, and that we have seen that you can physically perform this skill.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a big production. It was a big production.
Yeah, there was a lot of components to it. So I remember this was the first online course that I believe I've ever done in my life was finding your course, signing up. And I was like, this is cool. Cause like, you could do it at your own pace, your own time. You can rewatch the videos, you can do all these things. And then I was very impressed with how you did all of that. And what I thought was like super professional. Obviously you're a little bit more of a bigger critic than I
Hard on
am.
ourselves, right?
Yes.
It is great.
It was great. And then I remember the whole process of having to get certified. You did have to answer questions, you had to send in a video. And it was, if I could remember correctly, it was you that actually responded which I thought was mind blowing because I was like, this woman must be so busy with doing all the other things that she's doing, like marketing and
Yeah.
whatever else like you were doing that, but you still found the time and you found it important for you to be the one that was actually reviewing these videos and going back and forth with questions that I had.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that was me and it
Yeah.
still is me. I have a team now that watches kind of the baseline ones because there are some people that, they submit their videos and they look fantastic. They absolutely have it. The ones that are like, Shannon, I don't think she's doing this right. Then they submit them to me. And then that's when I work with you. But if you had it dialed, now we have a team
Yeah.
because we get thousands of videos. It's wildly cool.
Yeah.
And I can't possibly watch all of them and go
Right.
speak and go, I
Absolutely.
still am in the treatment room sugaring because I'm only there one day a week now, half day,
Uh-huh.
because I have a staff now that sugars, but there are some people that are like, oh no, you're not stopping this. And I'm actually glad that I still have my hands on the sugar ball because it's really good for me to keep, to walk the talk, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't say, oh, you should sugar and run your business like this if I don't have a business and I don't understand. I truly understand what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
must be a very busy woman because I didn't know that you were still in the treatment room. I'm thinking you're just, doing your podcast, which does take time, obviously, university that you have online. I was,
Yeah.
so what else do you do? Because you're like superwoman here.
Well, well, in fairness, my baby boy is 6'2" now. And so I'm in a different season of my life than you are. And he's my baby. My two boys my one is off in pilot school, and then my youngest one is off to college. So I only have him for 6 more months. So I am trying to find ways to fill up my life, which I actually really do a lot of. We have the podcast, which is great, and you've been on it. So we're going to link your podcast on the Sugar Show in the show notes for you. And we also have a directory, which we'll talk about in a second. And we also have a sugar tribe, which is
Mhm.
taking those people and doing advanced skills. Because I had a lot of people that were like, okay, Shannon, we loved your training, but
Mhm.
can you now teach us Brazilians, troubleshooting, business, marketing?
Yeah.
So our sugar tribe is a bunch of amazing rock star boss babes and employees who want to take their business to the next level. So we do that as well. So, I think it's really important for your audience too to understand that if you're not an esthetician and you're thinking about it, we both agree you should go get licensed and further your knowledge. But if you're not an esthetician, really, it's smart to link up with one.
Mhm.
And you and I
Yeah.
talked about this. Like, there's a lot of people that spray tan that aren't, that aren't licensed, which is fine. And they have awesome businesses, or maybe they're just starting out. And my kingdom for someone, if you're listening to this podcast and you live near the Folsom area, my kingdom for someone who is a really good spray tanner who can spray my people, because oddly, I don't know anyone here that could spray my people. And people that you need to partner with a sugar pro,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
these people are going on vacation, they're getting sugared, they're getting their smooth on. They also want to be tan.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if you can have that relationship with a sugar pro, we've got business for you, folks.
Yeah.
So go to the Sugar Network, which is the thing I was saying about. It's thesugardnetwork.com. We can link to that as well. And it's a directory of those estheticians that have been certified in sugaring. So it's a little bit different than a Google search, because Google just pulls any keyword, right? These people have mindfully put themselves onto the Sugar Network to raise their hand and say, I sugar, I can help you in my area.
Mhm.
So those folks it's all over the US and Canada that the Sugar Network is. So if you're looking for someone in your area, go there, type in, Burlingame, California, and everyone that's in a 20-mile radius from you will come up. And so you can strike up a conversation with those folks and maybe drum up some more business for yourself.
I love that. And so this is going into more of like networking, collaborations. I know a ton of women who are introverts right now that are listening to this and they're like, oh my gosh, you want me to do what? You want me to reach out to these women and collaborate? Let me tell you right now that collaboration and I'm also more introverted, you guys, than I am
I am
extroverted.
too.
Are you? I would
Oh,
have never
yeah,
guessed.
I totally am. I totally am. Yeah.
And it's funny because like the older I get, the more introverted I get. But anyways, one thing that I've learned through my 9 years of being an entrepreneur is that the more that I collaborate and network with people who feel good to me, the
Mm-hmm.
better my business does. And
Oh,
I
amen.
say that because a lot of people think that they just have to collaborate with whoever and do all these things. No, you don't have to collaborate with whoever. If you find that you do not align with somebody, you don't have to collaborate with them. Or if they make you feel weird or put you down, anything like that, you don't have to collaborate with them. But it's always really nice for you to be able to say, hey, I'm going to take this stance. I'm going to take this and like go to that website, look up somebody and actually be proactive about connecting with people. All you have to do is ask them to coffee.
I got one up. I got one better for you.
Yeah, let's hear
Here's a great way for an introvert to do that.
it.
Just go get your brows sugared or your
Mm,
lip or your leg. You can get
mm-hmm.
your bikini done if you're somebody that gets Brazilians. Just book an appointment with
Yeah.
the owner
Yep.
because I'll promise you, she wants to talk to you because you're a client.
Yeah.
She's going to be open. You can get a good vibe from her.
Yeah.
You could come in and sugar with me and go, oh, I don't like her personality. Or, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I love her. I just want to hang out with her every day. Right.
Right.
Now you have a nice, soft relationship with that esthetician. Guaranteed that esthetician will say, so what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
You can say, oh, I actually spray tan. Really? Here? Yeah, well, we're looking for someone. Then it doesn't have to be like, oh, I don't want to bother her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
love
not a
that.
huge investment. Go in and get your, lip sugared. That's 50
And
bucks,
and then you'll have your lip waxed or your eyebrows waxed on
Yeah,
top of
right.
that.
Like, I
It's a
mean,
win-win.
go in and get your brows smooth, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a win for you. You can experience sugar.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to meet that esthetician and be like, hey, I would love to send people your way. I really like this sugar. They're looking for business too. That
Absolutely.
collaboration model goes both ways. They're not
Mm-hmm.
the keepers of the kingdom, right? But I'll tell you right now, we see people every single half hour in our
Mm-hmm.
multiple rooms. That's a lot of women that are all looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to
Absolutely.
get my brows sugared, I probably am going somewhere special and I probably need to be spray tanned, but I don't know where to go,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So have an event with those people. Like have an event or offer the owner, hey, do you want to come over and check out my spray tan area? Or I do mobile. I could come to your place once a week.
Yeah. Like a pop-up event. I love that.
Yes,
So
pop-up
fun.
events and offer to go to their events if they want. They can come to your events. Like it really is we're working with the same people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same ideal client. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
not competition at all. In fact, I would love if you are listening and you're near Folsom, I would really love a spray tanner. So come find me.
So let's talk a little bit about sugaring and spray tans because I know some of the women that are listening right now, they're like hair removal, waxing, spray tans. It just doesn't go typically, right? We know that after you get waxed, if you're using a soft wax anyway, or if you have residue from oil, when people are doing hard wax, soft wax, anything like that, if you get a spray tan right after, it looks discolored, it doesn't come out flawlessly, all of that stuff happens. So we're very, very afraid a lot of the times to do a spray tan immediately after a waxing session. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about sugaring and how that differs and how you can actually get a spray tan right after.
Absolutely. So we use less product. We're
Mm-hmm.
not using oil. When we prep the skin, we just cleanse the area. We use a little powder or not. It depends on, like, usually we use powder on the areas that are, I hate this word, but more moist.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that word.
Well,
That word
cringing
needs
right
to be
now.
banished. But you know what I'm saying. So we just use a little powder in those areas to keep that area dry, but we
Right.
don't use oils. Now, that area will be exfoliated for sure because we're taking that dry skin off the top. We're
Yep.
sliding the hair out with the direction of hair growth. So if you don't know that, wax rips the hair out against the direction of hair growth.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar slides the hair out with the direction of hair growth. We do it the opposite way,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you'll learn. And then the thing is, we don't have to put a barrier cream on. It is nice to have that finish, but we don't have to put that barrier cream on. We can just put a little light mist of just some antibacterial
Mm-hmm.
just to make sure that those follicles are, protected, but you can get sprayed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The thing is, you want to make sure it's going to be nice and exfoliated in that area. You want to make sure the rest of the, the legs and the belly, if you're getting your Brazilian done, for example, you want to make sure everything else is exfoliated as well, because you don't want to have dry skin on the legs around the bikini and then a perfectly exfoliated bikini. That will not make it that flawless look. But that's the goal, is to make sure everyone's exfoliated, right? But it's absolutely fine to do sugar before you spray.
Yes, not
Not
after.
after. You'd be
No
surprised. There's a lot
exfoliating
of people that,
after.
yes, that don't realize that. The other thing too is I have people that they like the look of tan lines.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do it where you get that perfectly look of the tan line. Do you have
Yep.
clients that like that? They like their bikini looking
They do.
gray?
We've had some really interesting requests, I must say. But one of them, yes, a lot of people do like having tan lines, whether that's on their bra or like, thong or whatever. So they'll keep their thong on if that's the case.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they'll put like cute little stickers on different places
Sure,
and,
sure,
that kind of
sure.
thing.
But we can absolutely sugar that area like perfect,
Yeah.
and it'll take off some of the color, which is
Yeah.
great,
Oh, I
because
see what
we
you're
can
saying. Yeah.
make
Uh-huh.
that line perfect, get that bikini just right. If somebody's come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I just got a spray tan, maybe it was like a couple days ago or something, right? And we'll say, oh, as long as you don't mind looking like you have tan lines,
Yeah.
to be
That's good
honest, it
to
looks
know. I didn't even
awesome.
think about that.
Yeah. So if he doesn't mind, it's
Mhm.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say most women don't. Like I'm thinking about,
Now on
when I used
face,
to spray
maybe.
tan. Yeah, on the face, you don't want to
No.
have like a white mustache.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's be mindful of that.
Oh my gosh. I remember spray tanning people and we just get the oddest requests. Like aside from tan lines, that was typically pretty normal, especially
Mhm.
for women who are a little bit more insecure, who just weren't ready to expose themselves to a stranger, which I completely get and understand 1,000%. But
Yeah.
so we do something called contouring. I don't think we talked about this last time, where I have like a little airbrush gun and I go into like the little crevices of like, say, the clavicle bone, or I can enhance the breast, and you can do it where the breasts look actually fake. They look like you have a huge implant in there. Like, let's think like Pamela Anderson, right?
Okay.
So I remember I used to have this one client who, she was gorgeous and she loved that look. And so what I would have to do is actually get my airbrush gun and make a shadow all around her entire boob, which normally you would just go like right here, just like a little bit
Okay.
of cleavage, whatever. But she was like the person that came to mind when you were asking the question, like, what kind of request did you get? It's like her perfectly. She was Pamela Anderson when she left. I swear. It was so good. It's like you can
Oh my
actually
God.
probably do that with like highlights and, sugaring. We won't get into that too much, but I'm saying like it's possible. I wasn't even thinking about removing a spray tan with sugaring. We might be
Yeah.
onto something here.
Right. Or if you
Because there
get it
are,
in a place you don't want it to be, like turn
right,
it off. I
like your
actually had,
palms.
yeah, I had palms are a little bit more difficult, but I did have someone who their hair colored and it
Mm-hmm.
was all dark, dark, dark black on their ears and they
Yeah.
couldn't get it off. And I just rolled some sugar over the earlobes and the color came right out.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Seriously, you might be onto something with that, because we have X tan remover, which is specifically for, removing tans
Yeah.
on palms specifically, wherever it is that you want. But yeah, sugaring's great. So I
Yeah.
love that.
You can make those tan lines.
Exactly. So for those of you guys who are listening, who are like, yes, I need a good collab. I never knew this about sugaring. I hope you guys get excited. What was the website again, Shannon?
Yep, it's thesugarnetwork.com. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yes.
And you can just click on there and it just says what city and state. You type it in. It's also in Canada. And you can find someone in your area that sugars and maybe get a good collab with them.
So that's going to be your guys' challenge for today. You guys want to collaborate with somebody in the sugaring industry, go ahead, reach out to them, go get an appointment, like Shannon said. I love that idea, by the way,
Yep.
and just meet people. It really will help your business, and it really isn't as scary as you might think it is.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about circling back to the online course that you created. So
Mhm.
you went from being an owner of a salon or a spa.
Mhm.
And then you finally was like, you were like, you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit different, even though people think I'm crazy. I'm going to start this online course. I'm going to do it. It's hard, but I know that I can do hard things. So I'm just going to put this together.
Yes.
What, like, how did your life change when you made that decision? And once it started gaining traction?
To be really honest, I was pleasantly surprised at the amount of humans in this country that needed help,
Mhm.
and that I was able to do that where before I was just by myself in a treatment room, or there was two or three more people in a treatment room. Like, and my heart filled. I know that's probably not what you were thinking I would say, but like my life changed obviously financially because we were able to, train more people. But for me, I was doing it to pay forward the passion.
Mhm.
And when estheticians, this was during well, the recession we were kind of out of by the time I did the online school. That started in 2014.
Mhm.
And, people were kind of coming back to life, after they'd been really hurt by the housing industry or whatever it was that, they lost jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really found that people were so appreciative and understood that passion, and then they could in turn move forward, and
Mhm.
now we have these sweet success stories that I talked about earlier. And I didn't realize how I was starting to affect their businesses, which is how the podcast started, because I was just teaching technique in the beginning. And then I quickly realized how many people needed to understand how to market that business and
Mhm.
how to manage that business and how to grow that business and keep the finances for that business and pay taxes on that business. And I didn't realize, like, I have so many friends like yourself that I just felt loved. I felt like I was giving love. It kind of like became this really cool thing that I just thought I was getting sugar teaching out there. And then it turned into this bigger movement, which
Mhm.
became the Sweet Switch movement, which was put down your wax stick, learn something new. And the doors that it opened were incredible. And we've now spoken all over the country. We've been at the major trade shows. The biggest thing that has come out of this is the oncology aesthetics, the oncology estheticians are now using sugar as their part of their curriculum for their online courses. And
Wow.
people that have had chemo and radiation,
Mhm.
we're not going to do that while they're in treatment, but we can sugar them after, even though they're medically sensitive.
Mhm.
And they now have an option. And to see these women who have just really felt beat down by their medical issues, to know that they can get smooth with something that's safe and not going to burn them and cause them irritation. That was the biggest, coolest thing that ever happened when Marag Curran added it to Oncology Training Institute's curriculum because of what we were doing at Little Love to Sugar. Like, that was a game changer for our industry. It was just like, oh, we have an option now. And I guess I never thought when I was, back in beauty school, the old lady in beauty school, that I would become the sugar mama and that I would be able to benefit other people's lives through this little ball of lemon sugar and water. Like, I had no clue that would happen for me. And I don't know, that's, the universe has a plan for us all. And if my plan was to smooth hoo-has and make sure that that people could feel happy and their businesses could be fulfilled, and single moms had an option to make really great money, that's just been the most incredible part.
I love that. It's so funny because as you're speaking, I'm like, this is literally what I say to the women that we're teaching. So we have a Teach the Trainer program for spray tan educators, people who want to get into spray tan training. And I literally say this over and over again because I don't think that many people believe this until I'm so repetitive with it. But you are literally changing lives. Like, it's incredible what you can do just by educating somebody on how to do something. And especially when it's like business focused or something that can help somebody create income for themselves. Like, you're not only just changing that person's lives, but you're changing the lives of their family, of their friends. You're changing the trajectory of their lineage. Like, maybe they're a first time entrepreneur in their family, like I am. Like, it's incredible what you can do with a little bit of shared knowledge.
Oh, it's so true. One thing I am going to say, because I want to inspire people to be teachers and to take more education, I want to throw in a little bit of a caveat there is to say teaching is not easy. Teaching is not something that you just throw something online and now all of a sudden you make all this money. Like, it really takes some thought. It really takes understanding how people learn.
Yep.
You have to understand how to build a curriculum. You just don't roll over and say, all right, everyone come pay me all this money and I'm going to show you how I sugar. Like, that's not teaching, that's showing. So I want people to be really mindful, like, Kelly, what you do, you're not just like, oh, I'm going to take some videos of me spraying and that's going to be my course. Like, you really were thoughtful on your curriculum, and putting this together wasn't just your get rich quick scheme.
Right.
And I think it's really important for people that are listening to not take away from this. Oh, well, I'm really good at spray tanning or sugaring. And so I'm just going to put on an online course and I too can make 7 figures. Like, it's really not that. And as a student, I want you to make sure that you understand who your educator is.
Yes.
Because 1000%. Kelly and I have been doing this a really long time. And sometimes students will see something flashy on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, wherever they see it. And they think, oh, I'm going to go to this woman. She's got really great, TikToks. And so I'm going to give her my money and learn how to sugar or tan. I want you to really, as a student, be mindful of who you're learning from, because these people, there are a lot of people out there, sadly, that are taking students' money, and just throwing up some, iPhone recordings and, wanting to make a little money off of people. So really look into people's background, look into how long they've been doing this, find out, like, are you getting educated by someone Kelly has educated, or are you getting educated by someone who just, is pretty good at spray tanning? Their boyfriend threw up a tripod and, recorded them talk, and, they have a nice ring light, and, now they're going to be teaching you. Really learn from someone who understands the skin, understands why the skin responds the way it does, the troubleshooting. And really, honestly, Kelly, like you said, have great customer service, because I'm not going to buy your spray tan program and then just get left in the dust. I'm going to refer people to your spray tan program because it's the best in the industry and you know what you're doing, and I'm not going to get left as a student. And I really appreciate that of your education, is you are really wrap both of your arms around people. And, I love people that wrap both their arms around people and close their eyes when they hug, because it's that genuine hug. That's what you and I do.
I love it.
Opposed to the people that like kind of hug with one arm and are looking over your shoulder at whoever else is in the party. That's the kind of education you want to avoid.
Yeah.
You want that giant hug where the owner is closing her eyes and hugging you tight and has got you. And that's what I love about what we're doing, because that's what we do. We really, truly want our students to be educated right. And we'll do whatever it takes, even, if it's personally getting a visit from us. Because we want to make sure you succeed.
Yep. There's a lot of moving parts for sure when it comes to creating a great educational program. So I want to thank you, Shannon, so much for being here. I can't believe this has taken so long for us to do, but life happens, and I'm grateful for your time and your energy now.
Oh, anytime. I just adore you. I've adored you. I don't know. I think God meant for us to be together, because we've just always hit it off, and I love that.
Yeah, same here. So if you guys want to get a hold of Miss Shannon, how can they find you?
Well, they can go to lovetossugar.com. They can find a sugar pro in their area with the sugarnetwork.com. They can listen to the podcast for even more inspiration. At the Sugar Show, just ask your Alexa or jump on your Spotify and they'll guide you the right direction. It's the Sugar Show. And, like I said, go try sugar. Go get yourself informed, understand what's out there for you. And we're here for you too. So I'm excited for sugar people to listen to this and start wanting to add spray tanning, or to at least collaborate with a sprayer in their area.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shannon. We'll leave all of the comments and all of the links in the show notes below. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Beauty Business Babes podcast.